What's good? What's good? What's good? Come on, gang. What's good? What's good? What's good? You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I am your host, Kyng Ralph. Solo Dolo Show. Happy 2026. Hope everybody's doing good out there in TV land. But like we always do, if you're looking for a clean, no crash, jitterless energy drink, go on W.com, DUBBY, W.com. Use promo code JUK Juke for 20% off. And make sure while you're here, wherever you're here from, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Subscribe and follow at Juke Network, JUK Network on YouTube as well as Facebook. You can follow me at KYNGRALPH on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, or Twitch. Add an underscore for X or Twitter. And let's jump straight into it. A lot of shakeup. Bucks beat the Panthers, but then the Panthers mess around and had the Falcons win their game. So somehow the Panthers got in the playoffs. It was all weird. But so Panthers, thanks for the love. Thanks for the love. So Panthers in the playoffs and will play on Saturday. Packers will host, the Bears will host the Packers. Panthers are going to host the Rams. Sunday, Bills versus Jaguars. Jaguars are the home team. Patriots end up getting number 2 seed versus the Chargers, and will host the Chargers. And then on Monday, Steelers beat the Ravens on the last game of the year. Hell of a game. Feel bad for the Ravens and Lamar specifically. But they will host the Texans, if I have that correct. Yeah. Steelers will host the Texans on Monday night, which is weird having a playoff game on a Monday night. But let's jump straight into it. Bears hosting the Packers. I believe, and I would be really surprised if Jordan Love is not playing. I get it. He had concussion, got a past concussion protocol, but after missing a couple of weeks, and also it's a playoff game, winner, you lose, you win or you go home. I just don't see why he wouldn't play. Bears, opportunistic defense. Jordan Love has a history of giving the ball away, are some keys to victory for me. I think that the Bears have as good a chance as anybody. This playoffs is one of those ones where really it could go any way. There's no for sure team. As good as the Eagles are and have been past years, this year they struggled a lot of it. Now, me personally, I do think that they played down to their competition. So we'll see if they're able to turn it up. And be able to get to the Super Bowl. Panthers take on the Rams. As much as we on paper we would sit here and be like, you know what, Rams gonna run through them. Earlier in the year, the Panthers were able to get a victory 31-28. And Matt Stafford in that loss had 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and 1 lost fumble. I think protecting the football in that game is going to be essentially where it ends up going. They're getting Devontae Adams back after missing a couple of games with injury. Can the Panthers control the line of scrimmage? And can Bryce Young match Matt Stafford's output? Because Matt Stafford, since he's been with the Rams, if they get to the playoffs, he balls out. They were a Jalen Carter blown-up play away from getting to the Super Bowl last year. And that defense gets after the quarterback like no other. So can the Panthers on the offensive end and their offensive line, can they control the line of scrimmage? On defense, I believe it's Derek Brown, their D tackle. And he's a gamer. He can wreck a whole offense any week. And right now, I think I'm just more so going to do some breakdowns. I don't think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to wait later in the week and then post content as far as who I think is going to win. But as far as the Bears and the Packers, if the Bears struggle to get any kind of pass rush against the Packers, it's going to be a long day. Um, and if the Bears and Caleb Williams, because I think as much as he plays safe, if he can push the ball down the field, he's going to give his team an opportunity to win games. But you can't play it too safe, but you do got to treat the football like gold. So that game can go either way. Those are some of my keys. Protecting the football. Who protects the football the most in that game is who I think will end up being the victor. The Panthers and the Rams, I think that whoever controls the line of scrimmage is going to be who wins this game. I just don't see Matt Stafford going out there throwing 2 picks and having a lost fumble again. Now, I could be wrong. Anything could happen. I know it's a Saturday game, but they do say any given Sunday for a reason. So we'll see what happens. And then on Sunday, we got the Bills going to Jacksonville. We got the Chargers going up to New England. And this is, in both games, is just who do I trust? I don't trust Trevor Lawrence at the end of the day. I trust Josh Allen, although I think that Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Jacoby Myers, among others, and that defense, I just think that. Hold on, Elena, I'm recording, so you got to go away, baby. Not right now, babe. Unless you want to hand it to her, because I can't let her just walk in here. So I think the Bills, I trust Josh Allen a little bit more, even though he has a little bit less talent. Not a little bit, a lot of it. Lackluster talent when it comes to in comparison with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just think that I just don't trust Trevor Lawrence. And like I just got done saying, you got to treat the football like gold at the end of the day. And I just believe that Josh Allen can put that cape on more than I trust Trevor Lawrence to be able to protect the football and keep it out of harm's way. And then kind of the same thing. Justin Herbert is in that realm where you got to show me. I think that he has all of the talent in the world. I think that Harbaugh is going to have a good defense, but then that offensive line and his ability to perform in big games is just where I just don't see it. I think Vrabel is going to have that defense ready to go. Drake May, now it's his first playoff. How does he handle that? Can he protect the football? Can he keep doing what he's been doing all year? You do got weapons, Boutte, Stephon Diggs, Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson. He has some weapons to be able to rely on to where he doesn't have to be Superman or F Cam Newton in the way that he's been doing it. And so I'm not going to sit here and go either way, but I'm not going to make any kind of predictions when it comes to this one, although I did low-key make one for the Buffalo Bills. Really, at the end of the day, can Josh Allen be Superman and can Trevor Lawrence protect the football? Are those keys there? When it comes to the Patriots and Justin Herbert, can he get that monkey off his back and perform when that team needs him to do it the most? He's going to have a little bit more of a Superman-esque effort. They do got a running game, some decent receivers over there. So I do think that he got something to work with. But in the end, the Patriots have been balling all year. Mike Vrabel got them firing on all cylinders, and we'll see what happens. This one here, I am going to do a prediction because I do think that the Texans will the team that they have, Nico Collins, um, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, along with CJ Stroud, I think that when you go into these games and we got Jaguars, Bills, Patriots, Chargers, Texans, Steelers, I think that outside of Josh Allen, really you could say that CJ Stroud is the best quarterback available after that in the AFC. So for me personally, I think that that gives them as good a chance as anybody. I do have them being a dark horse in this playoff. And I can see them getting to an AFC championship game, if not a Super Bowl. That defense plays lights out. They're able to get after the quarterback, Derek Stingley, being able to lock up his side of the field. Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson getting after the quarterback. Can CJ Stroud protect the football and push the ball down the field? I believe he can, given what the Ravens were able to do to the Steelers. Now, the Steelers do get DK Metcalf, and that gives them some kind of advantage, but I just don't think that he runs enough of the route tree to be able to hold his own against a Derek Stingley Jr. Now, we'll see what happens. But I do got the Texans being a dark horse going through these playoffs. And so my girl Audie Crooks, Big Mama over at Iowa State, balling out of control this year. I think they just got their first loss of the year in the last game that they played. Yeah, I think they just lost, but she's having a heck of a year. Going into it, yeah, they just lost to Baylor. They play a game tomorrow against Cincinnati. I would very much see them winning. But going into this game right now, she's at 29 points a game, almost 7 rebounds with 6.5 rebounds, and shooting 73% from the field. Now, can her game translate to the W? And this is where I think that as much as I root for the girl and think that she's a heck of a player, this is where that disparity and talent gap between college and the league is going to be that much different. Now, do I think she'll be able to hold her own? Yes, I think from just a weight and strength standpoint, I think that now let's see her height. All right, so we're looking at 6'3", which will put her a little short if she's going to play the five. Now, with her game, not really able to, she's not a jumper. Even when you watch her, I think that that's part of why she doesn't get that many rebounds. She's really just going to put her body on you, use her weight and size to be able to have her way. I think that being able to now she does have some time. I think right now they got her as she's a junior, so I think she stays one more year. If she can stretch her game to a point where she can screen and pop and hit the mid range, eventually get to a three, I think her game will be able to translate. But if we're just strictly going off of post moves and post work, I just don't necessarily see it because in when you watch a lot of her highlights in a lot of the games, they're not setting double teams, they're not trapping, they're not trying to get the ball out of her hand. They're literally just saying, "Well, we're not going to let everybody else beat me or beat us. We're just going to let her get hers and see what happens." And so far, it's been working. They're 14-1, I believe. All right, where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Yeah, 14-1 at this point of the season. So it's working to a certain degree. But when we get to the W, you're going to have to deal with coaches at a high level who are going to trap, get the ball out of your hand if you're dominating in that fashion. Now, with her not being able to jump that high, can she be able to get hers in that post work? If not, can she extend her game to where she's able to knock down threes and in the mid range and dominate. I just don't know. As much as I'm rooting for her, she's gonna have to get a fade and a fadeaway game, some kind of take you off the dribble game, and we'll see what happens. I think in a way it's kind of like when we have those conversations of like a Zion Williams or Zion, I think it's Williamson. Yeah, it's Williamson. Of a Zion where the weight thing, can we get it down to where you can sustain a long career? Right now she's dominating and in college, and that's something to be definitely be celebrated, and she's doing the damn thing. But for a prolonged career, lengthy career, can she get down and have that lengthy career and build on these building blocks that she's had? She's having a hell of a year though. So college football is up. Indiana whoop Bama. Ole Miss beat Georgia, I believe. Oregon beat Texas Tech. Miami beat Ohio State. And now we got Indiana versus number 5 Oregon. We got the number 6 Ole Miss versus Miami. And this the Indiana Miami Indiana Oregon game is the game I'm really looking forward to. I'm gonna get into it in a little bit, but the Raiders got the number 1 pick. So these are the 2 quarterbacks that I see at the top of the list when it comes to prospects coming out in this next year. Now we'll see if more ends up coming out, but I can see a world where, based off of this game and how they match up against each other, could more leapfrog Fernando Mendoza. Right now, I think that, and I'll get into it in a second as far as where they project as individual players, because that is a later topic. But Indiana and Oregon have played each other already earlier in the year. I forget about what part of the season, what were their records at that time, but on October 11th, they played. Indiana was able to get a victory 30-20. Can Oregon impose their will on defense to the point where the amount of points that they score on average, can they withstand it? Because it's not really that far off. So Indiana averages about 42 points a game while giving up a little over 10 points. Oregon is giving up almost 17 points a game, but they score 39 points a game. So which defense can impose their will on the other? Both of them are supposed to be NFL level talent at quarterback. So what do we do here? Something's got to give at a certain point. And so I do think that, I don't know, man. It's just, this is a tough one. I think that this is where not being able to give a sheer prediction, but I think whoever wins this game will end up being that quarterback will end up being the number 1 pick, in my personal opinion, regardless of who wins. I think that if Moore wins, that and he looks outright better than Mendoza, then we'll see what happens there. But I think that this is going to be a good game, and I do look forward to it. Let's see, when is this game? And this game is on Friday, and I'm off that day, so I will be watching front and center. Yes, payday too. And so Ole Miss and Miami are the next game. I think they should play. They either play later that day or they play the next day, or they're the day before. So their game is on Thursday night, January 8th at 4:30 as well. I will not be able to watch majority of that game. I'll probably catch the second half of that one. But keys to victory here. Can Miami do exactly what they just got done doing when it came to handling Ohio State? Their defense is elite, ability to get after the quarterback. Um, but can they put up points? Ole Miss plays at a high pace, balanced attack. They can run the ball, throw the ball, big plays. They put up a lot of points. Defense isn't as good as Miami's defense, so it's a battle of strengths. Whose strength is gonna impose their will? And so I would love to see Miami. I was a Miami Hurricane fan growing up. Now in my teenage years, I ended up flip flopping, and I've been an Ohio State fan ever since. But I'm rooting for Miami. They beat my team, so in the end, I'm rooting for them. But we'll see. I'm not sure on this one. Later in the week, I will be giving my predictions as far as college football, as well as the NFL playoffs, the first round of NFL playoffs. And let's jump into this fast break as we get ready to finish up the show. Where do the Raiders go from here? Pete Carroll out, thank God. Number one pick, thank God. Now, where do we go from here? Mendoza on one hand, Moore on the other. Which one do you go with? Like I said, I think that the winner of that game and who has the more impressive, dominant game will end up being the number one pick or who the Raiders go after. I do believe that unless something wild happens, they will stay in this pick and take that number one pick with the quarterback. Although I do, me personally, I think that Moore has a little higher upside. I think that Mendoza is a little bit more athletic Jared Goff. And the Raiders, unless the Raiders build some kind of offensive line over the next couple years, you do have talent that he can throw the ball to. So I do believe Moore can do a little bit more with less. No pun intended. But in the end, where do we go from here? I think that we need to go offensive minded coach. Now, we'll see what happens because Harbaugh lost his job as well. And if I was the Raiders, I probably would have went after Brian Flores and just tried to get like a Dayball or a Cliff Kingsbury, um, or somebody an offensive mind when that good offensive play caller when it comes to an offensive coordinator, and then get a defensive minded coach, and then you're able to build with some of the pieces that they have because there are some pieces on defense. I don't think that defense is completely trash, but I do think that when it came to Pete Carroll and why I just believe that he should have lost his job. I'm very surprised that they did it. But although I do think that he should have lost his job because off rip, he was making decisions that were mistakes and being too prideful to go back and say, hey, I made a mistake. Let's flip this. Being able to hiring your son as the offensive line coach and how bad that offensive line looked all year and never making a decision to be able to get rid of him. You're just being too loyal. I think that moving Jackson Powers to guard and bringing in Meredith and then leaving Meredith at center until it was just too late. I think that was another decision. You draft a Darian Porter and keep Blue Kelly in the lineup, even though he's blown coverage after blown coverage after blown coverage. I just think that there were too many mistakes that just weren't being fixed, that you're just being too prideful to be able to say, hey, I made a mistake and let's move forward and fix it. And so in the end, Pete Carroll out. I think that we should either go offensive minded head coach or a really good offensive coordinator. I think that Brian Daboll is a name that I would look at personally to see where he's at. Is he trying to get a head coaching job? I don't know if I would trust him at that position and as a head coach of my squad. Now, you can see Raheem Morris was another person that lost. Hey, good looking, bro. You know, I'm always repping my squad. And so I think that Raheem Morris as a defensive coordinator, bring in a Brian Daboll. If you can't get a Brian Flores, I think that Daboll is someone that you should look at regardless of what happens. Now, when that defensive coordinator position, I think that if you bring in a Brian Flores, I probably would assume he would call the defense. and at least run the defensive side of things and go from there. But I think that there's talent on both sides of the ball. Obviously, there's more talent. You got Colton Miller, you got Jackson Powers, like I said, on the offensive line, and then you just kind of build around that. There were some other pieces that were looking good, and so thank you. I think there are some other pieces that were looking good. You got Brock Bowers. You bring in Ashton Genty this year. Showed that he can catch the ball out the backfield as well as run the rock when given the opportunity. Had some big playability, even though that line was causing a lot of he was getting hit before he could even really get any kind of momentum going forward, and still was able to get a decent amount of yardage given how much he was getting hit in the backfield. And so there's talent there. I think that there is some it's early enough and you have the number one pick to be able to at least be able to, you know what, Spot Tech and Tom Brady can sit down and really get a quarterback that they trust. All right. Cam Newton is making some rounds again when it comes to game manager, game changer. Went through a list of quarterbacks: Brock Purdy, Drake May, Dak, um, Jalen Hurts, and then got to Matt Stafford, Josh Allen. Of the six, the first four I named were game managers, and of the two, those were the game changers. Now, I think that at a certain point, we gotta stop doing this when it comes to if we disagree with someone, that we just start attacking the player rather than attacking the take. At the end of the day, regardless if you like Cam Newton or not, he is a sports analyst. He is in sports media, and he is giving his opinion based on what he's looking at. In his opinion, Drake May, Brock Purdy, Dak, and Jalen Hurts are all game managers. They are not game changers. Only one that I can kind of see is Drake May, because now that he has hit his stride, they look like a different team. Now, Mike Vrabel is a heck of a coach, showed that he was a heck of a coach in Tennessee. Now he's here with the New England Patriots. The defense looks good. They're running the ball. Stephon Diggs is playing well, and he's being able to disperse the football to his playmakers to where it needs to go. So in this moment, what do? Um, Manager, or do you think he's a game changer? But attack the take and stop attacking Cam Newton for his personal opinions, because at no point do we ever say Dan Orlovsky, Ryan Clark, or Marcus Spears can't have the opinions that they have because they weren't the best at their position. But when it comes to Cam Newton, all of a sudden now, because Cam Newton didn't dive on the football, he can't have an opinion based on what he's looking at. And if we're going to sit here and be honest with you, at no point did he ever throw to a person who was even half as good as Stephon Diggs outside of his rookie year when he had Steve Smith. When he had that year where they went 15-1 and he won an MVP and they got to the Super Bowl, who was his best receiver? His best receiver was Ted Ginn, but technically his best receiver was Greg Olsen. And so Butte, Stephon Diggs, and Trevion Henderson are better than any three people that Cam Newton could have been getting the ball to, or throwing the ball to, or handing the ball off to. And that's just at the end of the day, he was literally being Superman out there. It was a one-man show. And so I hate that when it comes to these things, we try to sit there and act like certain people weren't the players that they were in order to be able to invalidate their point, but attack the point. Stop attacking the player. If you just disagree with it, that's cool. Disagree with the take, but attack the take. You know what I mean? I hate that. And so a couple last ones we got. I am kind of going over time a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. I appreciate y'all for sticking around and watching. Does Shador deserve an opportunity moving forward. Me personally, and y'all know I've been caping for him all year. I think that given the situation that he was dealt with, should have been a top five pick, if not a first round quarterback. Slides to the fifth round. Dylan Gabriel is selected before him. They have Kenny Pickett as well as Joe Flacco. Deshaun Watson is coming off an Achilles injury. I think that Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson should back up Shador, and Shador should get a full opportunity to be able to get um, to prove that he's a franchise quarterback. Give him 1 year at the end of the day. If he doesn't show you any kind of promise, I think that right now, where do the Browns? Let's see, Browns draft pick. All right, so they have the number 6 pick, and I just don't see. Yeah, me personally, I just don't see those two quarterbacks given the way that the history. I don't see those quarterbacks getting that far in the draft now, unless the Browns decide to move up. But I just think that where you are right now, you have a quarterback that is just as good as the two quarterbacks that would be the top two if Moore decides to come out, if he goes back to college, like a lot of people are making jokes about, then Mendoza's going to be the pick. And then after that, it's going to be a huge drop off. And so I think that you give Shador an opportunity with first team reps, retool that offensive line. You got Judkins, who I think is going to be a really good running back for the future. Fanning, Njoku, whatever you decide to do with Njoku. I think Isaiah Bond is a good young wide receiver. Jared Judy. Now that's where I think, me personally, I don't like his behaviors. I would move on from him, but we'll see what's up with that contract. I'm not 100% sure what that contract looks like off the top of my head, but I think that Shador has done enough. The team is behind him. Myles Garrett believes in him. We got rid of Stefanski. Now let's bring in a coach who can get the most out of him, who is bought in on him and developing him, and see what we can do here. The defense was a top 5, top 10 defense. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. You got a young Mason Graham. You got a number 6 pick to be able to go after certain things, and some extra draft picks in those middle rounds that you were able to get through trades. And I just think that you retool and go at it again, for me personally. And then John Harbaugh, along with Cliff Kingsbury and the Lions offensive coordinator, Morton. Actually, the Commanders get rid of their defensive coordinator, but the defensive coordinator for the Commanders and the Lions offensive coordinator both were relieved of their play calling duties. So I just kind of saw that coming. Cliff Kingsbury is a little bit more of a I'm more surprised, as well as John Harbaugh, although both of them made sense. John Harbaugh, nobody's sitting here trying to say that John Harbaugh is not a good coach. I think that now with him being released, if I'm the Raiders, you gotta give him a call and see. I know the Rooney Rule is the Rooney Rule, but you got to give him a call and see what he's looking for and what he's looking at, because the Giants, I think, is the most coveted outside of the Ravens head coaching position. But then after that, I think that it's just a couple different ways that you can go with this. A head coaching position, you got a number 1 pick, Tom Brady, Spytech, collaborate, figure out what you got, what you can do there. There are some pieces like I just got done mentioning. So me personally, I think that John Harbaugh is just 18 years. After a while, you need a new voice in the locker room. And losing some of these games the way that they've been losing. And I mentioned before, I thought that after they lost to the Chiefs, when they had the number 1 defense and that offense that they had, although they didn't have Derrick Henry at that time, I think that there's an opportunity there where you put Mike McDonald as the head coach. You still have that defense. Todd Monken is still there calling that offense, and you're still able to roll. Where I think the Ravens are where they are right now because of that misjudgment and that lack of foresight. Now you got rid of John Harbaugh, and there's Mike McDonald is flourishing in Seattle. So John Harbaugh, in the end, nobody's saying he's a bad coach. I think that he's going to be the most coveted coach on the coaching market in this coaching carousel that's coming up. So, but I am curious to see where the Ravens go from here. Todd Monken, I think, just needs a little bit of retooling in the way to his play calling. Now, who's to say who's the person, whether or not he was making that play calling on behalf of John Harbaugh or was that his decision? But you have a Derrick Henry, give him the ball. It's been shown and proven, although he's getting older and is an aging running back, that you need to give him the carries. If he's not getting the carries, he's not going to have the production. The more carries he gets, the more production he'll give you in the end. And so this offseason is going to be good. This playoffs is going to be good. We're having a good year. We're off to a good start. I appreciate y'all for watching. Let me know, was there a lag today? I've been trying to fix this lag problem. I got an Ethernet cord, but I ended up having to use my charging port somewhere else, and I don't think my laptop was able to charge while I'm doing this. So let me know if there was a lag, but I do got to get up out of here. Like I mentioned before, if you're looking for a no crash jitterless energy drink, use promo code JUK for 20% off on W.com. And while you're here, wherever you're here from, subscribe, like, comment, share. I love the interaction. Whenever you're here, just say what up. Argue back with me if you have a problem with something I'm saying. I'll talk to me. I'll talk back. But subscribe at Juke Network. Follow Juke Network on Facebook as well. Subscribe on YouTube. You can follow me at KYNGRALPH on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Threads, add an underscore for X or Twitter. Make sure you follow Juke Sports Show at Juke Sports Show on Instagram and Threads, as well as Two Goobs podcast will be back, and we're recording next week, and then the following week we'll have an episode. So I think the 21st of January we'll have our first episode. But thanks for watching. I do got to get up out of here. Peace. Love, peace, chicken grease. Yeah.